Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive into the world of language learning and English fluency. I know you're out there working hard on your English.
Yeah.
But, you're looking for those not-so-obvious techniques.
Yeah, those little things that really make a difference.
Exactly. And to help us uncover some of those, called How to Develop English Fluency.
Okay, cool.
And they even have a guest, Sarah, who has successfully learned English.
Awesome.
So she's going to be providing that real world.
That firsthand perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so valuable.
So our mission with this deep dive is to break down this video.
Okay.
Pull out those actionable, perhaps even surprising tips that can help you on your journey to fluency.
I like it.
And what really struck me right off the bat was how the hosts emphasize that fluency isn't about speaking at lightning speed.
Oh, that's such a relief to hear.
Right.
I think that's a common misconception.
Yeah. That people think that fluency just means speaking really, really fast.
Yeah. You got to be like a rapper or something.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not about that at all.
Right.
It's more about being able to communicate your thoughts clearly, smoothly. And they actually use a really interesting analogy.
Oh, yeah.
They talk about fluency being like a well-exercised muscle.
Okay, I like that.
Something that gets stronger through targeted effort.
I love that analogy because it makes it feel achievable.
Yeah, totally.
Like you can actively work towards this.
Absolutely.
And they break it down into 4 elements.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so we got accuracy, speed, comprehension, and confidence.
Okay, so it's not just about speed.
No, it's not just about speed.
There's more to it.
There's more to it. I'm glad they put accuracy first, though.
I did too.
I think that's really important.
Yeah, because if you think about it from the listener's perspective,
right.
If someone's speaking quickly,
yeah,
but like they're using the wrong words or the wrong grammar, it's
hard to understand. Yeah, it makes it difficult to understand their message.
It does.
So accuracy kind of is the foundation on which fluency is built.
Yeah, it's like building blocks.
Exactly.
You got to get that right.
But how do we actually improve accuracy?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, one tip that the hosts offer is to ditch the dictionary.
Ditch the dictionary? What?
And focus on thinking in sentences.
Oh, interesting.
So this actually aligns with a language acquisition theory called the lexical approach.
Okay. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of learning isolated words, you focus on learning chunks of language.
Gotcha.
Like phrases and collocations that naturally occur together.
So give me an example.
Okay, so let's say you're trying to learn vocabulary related to shopping.
Okay.
Instead of just memorizing a list of words, you would focus on learning phrases like, can I try this on? Or do you have this in a different size?
Oh, I see. So you're learning the words in context. So you're not just memorizing definitions, you're actually internalizing how those words are used in real life situations.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
And it's a much more natural and effective way to build vocabulary.
For sure.
Okay, so accuracy is about choosing the right words and structures.
Right.
But what about making mistakes?
Oh, yeah. This is a big one.
I know I've been held back by the fear of saying something wrong.
Oh, totally. It's a common fear.
But the hosts, and especially their guest, Sarah, they're adamant that mistakes are essential for learning.
Really?
Yeah, they even say, embrace mistakes, your brain's secret weapon.
Oh, okay. I like that.
And they explain that when we make a mistake, our brains create stronger connections to correct it next time.
So it's like our brains are learning from those errors.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
It's like your brain is taking notes, being like, okay, I'm going to remember that for next time.
Yeah, I won't do that again.
Right. And this actually aligns with research in neuroscience.
Oh.
So making mistakes strengthens those neural pathways, making it more likely that you'll get it right the next time.
So it's like practice makes perfect.
Kind of, but
with mistakes.
But with mistakes. So mistakes aren't failures, they're valuable learning experiences.
I like that reframing.
Yeah.
It's a good way to look at it.
And this reminds me of Sarah's story. She was initially terrified of speaking English.
Oh, I bet.
Because she was so worried about making mistakes.
Yeah.
But she eventually overcame that fear.
How did she do that?
By finding a supportive group of friends who were patient with her as she practiced.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so they created that safe space for her to experiment, make mistakes, and gradually build her confidence.
That's so important.
It is.
Having that supportive environment.
Yeah, where you feel comfortable taking risks.
Oh, yeah. You need that safety net.
Yeah.
When you're learning to walk that tightrope of fluency.
Exactly. And this is a great example of how emotional factors play a significant role in language learning. For sure.
Feeling safe and supported can make a world of difference.
Absolutely, it can.
It's not just about memorizing words and grammar rules.
Right.
It's about feeling confident and comfortable enough to actually use the language.
Yeah, you got to put yourself out there.
So we've talked about accuracy, but what about speed?
Okay, yeah, because I know it's not a race.
Yeah.
But speed is still a factor.
Yeah. So the hosts highlight the importance of finding a comfortable rhythm.
Okay.
So it's not about talking as fast as you can,
Right.
but about maintaining a consistent pace that allows you to express yourself smoothly without long pauses or interruptions.
So like a nice flow, like a dance.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
It's not about rushing through the steps,
Yeah.
but about finding that natural, comfortable cadence that keeps the conversation moving.
And speaking of keeping the conversation moving, let's talk about comprehension.
Okay? Yeah, comprehension, that's the third element of fluency.
Right, and it's often overlooked.
It is.
But it's so important. It is, because if you can't understand what other people are saying to you,
Right.
you can't respond effectively.
Yeah, you can't really contribute to the conversation.
It's a two-way street.
It is.
You need to be able to express yourself clearly,
Yeah.
but also understand what other people are saying.
Totally.
So the hosts recommend immersing yourself in the language as much as possible to improve your listening skills.
Makes sense.
So things like listening to podcasts, watching movies, listening to music.
Even overhearing conversations.
Yeah, just getting as much exposure to authentic English as possible.
Yeah. The more you hear it, the better you'll understand it.
Exactly. It's like training your ear to decode those linguistic signals.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so we've covered accuracy, speed, and comprehension. What about the final element?
What's that?
Confidence.
Oh, confidence. Yeah, that's huge.
It's the key that unlocks fluency.
It is. It really is.
Because it allows you to speak freely, express yourself without being paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes.
It's about trusting yourself.
Yeah.
To communicate effectively, even if you're not 100% sure about every single word
Exactly.
or grammar rule.
And I think this is where a lot of language learners, myself included,
Oh, for sure.
struggle.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in those feelings of self-doubt
Right.
and fear of judgment.
Totally. But the more you practice, the more confident you become,
That's what they say.
which then leads to more fluency. It's like a positive feedback loop.
Yes, it is.
That's awesome.
And Sarah's story is a great testament to that.
Yeah. Tell me more about her story.
So she went from being terrified of speaking English to confidently presenting at international conferences.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's proof that with consistent effort and the right mindset,
Yeah.
anyone can overcome those initial fears and achieve fluency.
That's really inspiring.
It is.
So what other concrete strategies do they recommend?
Oh, yeah. I'm ready to dig into some more specific techniques.
Me too. Let's do it.
All right, so we're back.
Yes, we're back.
And we're ready to dive into some more specific techniques for getting more fluent. I'm ready.
Okay, cool.
One of the techniques that the hosts demonstrate in the video really caught my attention.
Okay, what is it?
They call it the Fluency Challenge.
The Fluency Challenge.
Okay.
I like the sound of that.
And I love how they actually do it themselves on camera.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can see how it works.
Yeah, it makes it less intimidating
Yeah,
to see someone actually doing it.
exactly. And the challenge itself is brilliant in its simplicity.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
They basically challenge each other to talk about their daily routines for a set amount of time
Okay.
without stopping.
Oh, without stopping.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it sounds a lot easier than it is.
Oh,
I
yeah.
tried it myself after watching the video,
Yeah.
and I kept getting stuck.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what do I say next?
I can imagine that's totally normal, though,
Yeah.
especially at first.
Yeah.
I mean, the goal isn't to deliver this perfectly polished speech, right?
Right.
It's more about training your brain to think and speak in English without those mental roadblocks.
Exactly. And the host emphasized that it's not about speed or complexity.
Yeah.
It's about finding a comfortable pace
Yeah.
and just keeping those words flowing, even if you have to say things like,
Like what?
I don't know what to say next.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, they give you permission to stumble and hesitate.
Yeah, take the pressure off.
Yeah.
Makes it more approachable.
And they encourage viewers to try it too.
Oh, cool.
With like a 30-second challenge to describe their own daily routine.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, did you try it?
I did.
You did.
It's harder than it looks.
It is.
But what's really cool is you can adapt it
Oh, yeah.
to any topic.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be your daily routine.
Right.
You could talk about your hobbies, your favorite food,
Yeah.
your dream vacation,
Yeah, whatever interests you.
anything that gets you talking.
Yeah, and they suggest turning it into a game.
Oh, fun.
Almost like a verbal ping pong match.
Yeah, I like that.
So it makes practice feel less like a chore, more like a fun challenge.
Exactly. And that playfulness is so important for language learning, because when you're enjoying yourself, you're more likely to stay engaged and motivated.
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah.
Now I want to circle back to Sarah's story.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hearing about her journey from struggling French speaker to fluent professional was incredibly inspiring.
It really is.
Like, it highlights that fluency is achievable for anyone, regardless of their background or previous challenges.
Everyone starts somewhere.
And her early experiences with English were very similar to what many language learners face.
Oh, I'm sure. Like, what kinds of things?
So she mentioned feeling intimidated by native speakers, struggling to understand accents and slang.
Yeah.
And she talked about that crippling fear of making mistakes.
Oh, we've all been there.
Which we have all been there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's that fear that often holds us back.
Yeah, it does.
From truly engaging with the language.
It prevents you from taking risks.
Yeah.
Which is how you really learn.
Exactly. But Sarah found ways to push past those anxieties.
Oh, that's great. What did she do?
So she started watching English TV shows and movies.
Okay.
So immersing herself in the language.
Good idea.
Even outside of structured learning environments.
Yeah, just getting that exposure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And eventually she realized that making mistakes wasn't something to be ashamed of.
Right.
But was actually a crucial part of the learning process.
It is.
So she started viewing those mistakes as stepping stones.
I love that.
Not stumbling blocks.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Mistakes are opportunity.
And what's fascinating is that shift in mindset allowed her to take more risks.
Makes sense.
And ultimately make more progress.
Yeah, because you're not so afraid to put yourself out there.
Exactly.
You're more willing to experiment.
Yeah, and she emphasized the importance of finding patient and understanding language partners.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
People who wouldn't judge her for making mistakes.
Yeah, you need that support system.
Yeah.
People who are going to encourage you.
Right.
And not make you feel bad.
Exactly. And that can make a world of difference.
It really can.
It can transform language learning from a daunting task into a collaborative and enjoyable experience.
It's more fun that way, too.
It is.
When you're having fun with it.
I think her story really highlights how the emotional side of language learning is just as important as the technical aspects.
Absolutely.
Feeling confident and supported can be a game changer.
It really can be.
Now, Sarah actually had a question for the viewers.
Cool. What was it?
She asked them to identify their biggest challenge with speaking English.
Oh, interesting.
Is it pronunciation grammar or the fear of speaking in front of others?
That's a clever question.
Yeah.
Because it makes you think.
It does. It makes the viewers feel like they're part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And encourages them to reflect on their own language learning journeys.
I like it.
And it's also a great way to identify those common pain points.
Yeah.
Which they then address later in the video.
Oh, cool. So what are some of those challenges?
Well, they talk about a few other challenges that English language learners often face.
Okay.
Like feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of vocabulary and grammar rules.
Oh, I can relate to that.
I can too. Sometimes it feels like I'm trying to drink from a fire hose.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is.
So what do they suggest for managing that feeling of overwhelm?
So they suggest focusing on learning in context rather than trying to memorize long lists of vocabulary in isolation.
Yeah.
So instead of just cramming flashcards, you're actually using those words in sentences, seeing how they function.
In real life situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They suggest reading articles or books on topics that interest you.
That's a good idea.
And paying attention to how words are used in those contexts. They also recommend using spaced repetition apps.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of those.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be really good.
Yeah. So those apps basically quiz you on words at intervals that optimize memory retention.
Cool.
So it's a much more efficient way to learn vocabulary.
Yeah, it takes the guesswork out of it.
Than just trying to cram it all in at once.
For sure.
And they also touch on the challenge of understanding natal speakers.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Which can be a major hurdle for language learners.
It can be really tough.
Yeah.
Especially when they're speaking fast.
Yeah, they speak quickly, they use slang, they use idioms.
Regional accent.
Regional accents.
That can be hard to decipher.
It's like trying to decipher a secret code sometimes.
Yes, it is.
But they offer some practical tips for improving listening comprehension.
Okay, what are they?
So they recommend immersing yourself in different types of English media.
Okay.
Like movies, TV shows, podcasts, and music.
It's stuff.
And they suggest starting with subtitles.
Oh, that helps.
Which can be a great way to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
Between what you hear and what you understand.
Totally like a decoder ring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
And as your listening skills improve, you can gradually wean yourself off the subtitles.
Challenge yourself a little bit.
Yeah, and challenge yourself to understand more without that visual aid.
That's a good strategy.
And they also emphasize the importance of actively listening.
Okay.
For phrases and expressions that native speakers use frequently.
So not just passively listening.
No.
But actually paying attention to how they're using the language.
Yes, engaging with the language.
Yeah.
Noticing patterns.
Yeah.
And trying to incorporate those phrases and expressions into your own speaking.
Cool.
And the more you listen, the more familiar those sounds and rhythms will become.
It's like training your ear
Yeah.
to recognize the nuances.
Exactly.
Cool.
So we've covered a lot of ground in terms of challenges
Yeah, we have it.
that language learners often face.
What about goals and motivation?
Oh, yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, because it can be easy to lose steam
It can.
when you're on a long language learning journey.
It can feel like a really long road.
It can.
So they suggest breaking down those larger goals
Okay.
into smaller, more manageable steps.
Good idea.
So instead of saying, I want to be fluent in English,
Yeah, which can feel overwhelming.
which can feel very overwhelming, you
Yeah.
can set smaller goals like,
Like what?
I'm going to learn 5 new words this week.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to have a 10-minute conversation with a language partner.
Yeah, those feel more doable.
They do.
And then each time you reach one,
Yeah,
it gives you that sense of accomplishment,
exactly.
which motivates you to keep going.
And they emphasize the importance of celebrating those small victories.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, no matter how insignificant they may seem.
Yeah, every step counts.
Every step forward is a step closer to your ultimate goal.
Exactly.
And they also encourage viewers to find ways to make language learning fun and engaging.
Yes, make it enjoyable.
Yeah, because if you're not enjoying the process, it's going to be much harder to stay motivated.
For sure, for sure.
So they suggest trying out different learning methods,
Okay.
experimenting with different resources,
Yeah.
and finding activities that align with your interests.
So like instead of just doing grammar exercises,
Yeah.
maybe join a language exchange group.
Yeah.
Watch a movie in English.
Listen to a podcast
Yeah.
on a topic that you're passionate about.
Exactly. Find what works for you
Yeah.
and make it a part of your life.
Yeah, not just a chore
Not just something you have to do.
to check off your to-do list.
Yeah, I like that.
And I think that's a really important message,
It is.
especially for anyone who's feeling discouraged or overwhelmed
Yeah,
by their language learning journey.
absolutely.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to touch on one more key point that they emphasize,
What's that?
the importance of consistency.
Oh, consistency. Yeah, that's huge.
It's key.
It is.
It's something I've learned firsthand. Me too.
It's much more effective to practice a little bit every day
Right.
than to cram in long study sessions once a week.
Yeah, little and often is better
Yeah.
than all at once.
So they recommend finding a time that works for you
Okay.
and sticking to a regular practice schedule,
Yeah.
even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes each day.
Yeah. Every little bit helps.
Yeah.
It adds up.
And they say even small amounts of consistent practice
Yeah.
can add up to significant progress over time.
That's encouraging.
It is.
Be that.
It's like building any other habit.
Right?
You know, the key is to make it part of your daily routine.
Absolutely.
And they also highlight the importance of not giving up.
Oh, yeah.
Even when you hit those inevitable plateaus
Yeah.
or feel like you're not making progress.
There are going to be ups and downs
There are.
on the language learning journey.
They remind viewers that language learning is a journey
Yeah.
with its ups and downs.
For sure.
There will be times when you feel like you're soaring ahead.
And times when you feel stuck.
Totally. But the key is to just keep going.
Keep practicing, keep learning, and keep pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah. You gotta challenge yourself.
It's like running a marathon.
Yeah.
You know, there will be times when you want to quit.
Yeah. But you gotta keep pushing.
But if you keep pushing forward, you'll eventually reach that finish line.
And the rewards are worth it.
And the rewards of fluency are definitely worth the effort.
They are.
Speaking of rewards, we're just about to reach the finish line
Okay.
of this part of our deep dive.
All right.
But before we do, I want to circle back
Okay.
to that question that Sarah posed to the viewers.
Oh, yeah. The one about their biggest challenges.
Yes.
With speaking English.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've talked about a lot of the technical and emotional aspects of fluency.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
What resonated with you most?
Yeah. What are your biggest hurdles?
Yeah, when it comes to speaking English fluently.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's still that fear of making mistakes.
Yeah.
Something I'm working on.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely getting better at embracing those stumbles as learning opportunities.
Yeah, what about you?
I think my biggest challenge is finding the time
Oh, yeah.
and consistency for regular practice.
Yeah,
Life tends to get in the way,
it does.
but I'm trying to be more intentional
Yeah.
about creating space for language learning in my routine.
I think we all struggle with that to some extent.
Yeah, probably.
But like they remind us, even small pockets
Yeah.
of consistent practice
Yeah.
can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
Now we'll be back in just a moment
Okay.
to wrap up our deep dive with the English Globe's final thoughts
Sounds good.
on fluency
Okay.
and their preview of what's coming up in their next episode.
Cool.
Stay tuned. All right, so welcome back to the final part
Yes.
of our deep dive into English fluency with the English Globe.
It's been a good one.
It has. We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Exploring all these different techniques, challenges, and of course, Sarah's inspiring story.
Yeah, Sarah's story is really cool.
But like any good adventure, we're nearing the summit.
Okay.
And the English Globe hosts,
Yeah.
they wrap things up.
Yeah, they do a good job of summarizing
They do.
all their key insights.
Yeah. What are their parting words of wisdom?
What they basically circle back to their core message,
Okay.
which is that fluency is not about speed,
Right.
but about clear, smooth,
Mm-hmm.
and confident communication.
Yeah, and daily practice.
Yes.
Even just for 10 to 15 minutes
Yeah.
can make a world of difference.
You really can.
Consistency over intensity.
Yes.
A principle that applies to so many areas of life.
So many things.
Right.
They also reiterate the importance of listening
Yeah,
as a crucial component of fluency development.
absolutely.
So whether it's through podcasts, music conversations, or even just like eavesdropping on the bus,
Yeah.
just immersing yourself
Yeah, getting that exposure.
in those sounds of English.
It's key.
Yeah, it's like training your ears
Yeah.
to become more attuned to the music of the language.
I love that. And I also found it encouraging how they once again emphasize the importance of embracing mistakes
Oh, yeah.
as valuable learning opportunities.
They're not failures.
They're not failure.
They're signposts pointing us towards improvement.
Yeah, it's all about that shift in perspective,
Yeah.
seeing those stumbles as stepping stones on our path to fluency.
Absolutely.
And they also encourage us to think in English whenever possible,
Oh,
even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
yeah.
It's a subtle but effective way to train your brain
Yeah.
to process the language more naturally.
Just getting that habit of thinking in English.
Yeah, almost like create that inner monologue
Exactly.
in English.
So cool.
The hosts also touch on the importance of expanding our vocabulary strategically.
Yeah. How so?
So they suggest focusing on words that are relevant to our daily lives and interests.
Okay.
Rather than trying to memorize, long lists of obscure vocabulary. Yeah.
Make it practical.
Make it practical.
Yeah.
It's like learning the vocabulary you need to navigate your own personal linguistic landscape.
I like that.
Now, before we get to their final thought-provoking question,
Right?
I'm curious, did anything in particular stand out to you from their closing remarks?
What really struck me was their emphasis on the journey itself.
Okay.
They remind us that fluency isn't something that happens overnight.
Right.
It's a process that requires patience, persistence, and a healthy dose of self-compassion.
I think that's such an important point, especially in today's world of instant gratification.
Right. Everything's so fast-paced.
Yeah, living a language is a marathon, not a sprint.
It is.
And it's important to savor the process and celebrate every milestone along the way.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
All right. Are you ready for their final thought-provoking question?
I am all ears.
Okay. They ask viewers, what are your biggest challenges with speaking English right now?
Oh, that's a fantastic question.
It is.
It's an invitation to really reflect on their personal language learning journey.
Yeah. Identify those areas.
Yeah, and where they might need extra support or guidance.
Exactly. And it's a good reminder that we're all in this together.
We are navigating this exciting and sometimes challenging
It is.
terrain of language acquisition.
It's a journey.
It's a journey that's best shared.
Yeah.
And we can learn from each other's experiences, offer support.
Celebrate each other's victory.
Exactly.
Cool.
Speaking of shared journeys, this deep dive has been a fascinating exploration
It has been,
of the many facets of English fluency.
for sure.
I feel incredibly motivated to continue my own language learning adventure.
You too.
And to embrace those stumbles and triumphs along the way.
The ups and downs.
Fluency is not a destination.
It's a journey.
It's an ongoing process of growth, discovery, and connection.
I like that.
So keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep sharing your journey with others.
Yeah, spread the love.
And we will be back soon with another deep dive.
Right.
Exploring a new topic and uncovering more hidden gems of knowledge. Until then, happy learning.
Happy learning, everyone.